Hello everyone, my name is Abby Bliss White and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to play with the new launch from Lisa Eldridge. This is the long-awaited launch of the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin, the foundation. I did go ahead and pick up her Seamless Blend brush as well. So we are going to be going all in, playing with her foundation, and I was going to share some of my tips and tricks of how to use this foundation for more mature dry skin. So I am someone who gravitates towards more glowy hydrating foundations, and I was going to show you how I can create that using her Seamless Skin foundation, which is a true satin, I would say a soft matte formula. It's not a flat matte, but it's definitely not a glowy foundation either. And I know that many people reached out to me and said, oh, I'm not so sure about this foundation yet. So I wanted to share with you how I have been using this to create a little bit more of a glowy foundation, as well as just share my overall thoughts on this foundation and the launch from Lisa Eldridge. I will also be doing a wear test check-in so you can see how this wore throughout the day. So if you were interested in learning a little bit more about this foundation as well as my overall thoughts on it, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first things first, I'm a huge fan of Lisa Eldridge. She is a global makeup artist with her own makeup line now. She is UK based. Lisa is super talented. I love the fact that she can just enhance people's beauty as well as create some more edgy editorial looks as well. And I'm personally excited because I'm going to get to go to the UK this summer, and I'm hoping to go to one of her pop-ups in Covent Gardens. So I will get to go see everything in action and instead of just buying everything online. So I am super excited about that. So of course I was so excited for the launch of this foundation since I love foundations, one of my favorite things to purchase. Now admittedly, when I first tried the samples of this foundation, I was not wowed. Number one, I had a set of samples that was way too light for my skin. I had shades 5, 6, 7, 8, and I truly consider myself someone who has light medium skin, so as you can imagine, didn't look the best on my skin, and I also put too much foundation on when I was sampling that. So today I'm going to share what color I ended up picking up and a few tips and tricks on how I am using this in a way that I like for my more mature skin. So I am 53, I have dry, mature skin. As far as the price point, this is $61 US, and it comes in 40 different shades. So very inclusive. There is going to be something for everyone in this shade range. And if you haven't had a chance, I would really recommend that you watch her video about the foundation. When I watched that video, she really went into the behind the scenes of how she created this, what she was looking for in this foundation, and it really gives a lot of different insights into the production of this beautiful foundation, but also she shares some tips and tricks of how to use it, which was hugely helpful for someone like myself who was a bit on the fence about purchasing this, because this is a very unique product. This is not going to be like your normal foundations that you already own. And I did have to play around with the best way to prep my skin as well as the best way to apply it. So I'm going to share some of those tips and tricks today, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we are going to be playing with the Lisa Eldridge. This is the Seamless Skin, the foundation. And as many of you know, I was going back and forth as to what shade to pick out. I was in between picking up shade 10, 11, 12 or 13. I didn't have that little packet to sample, and so I just went with shade number 12. And number 12 is described as light medium with a neutral, cool, rosy undertone. And in foundations, I generally pick up either neutral or neutral cool undertones. So the warm golden ones tend to pull a bit more peachy on my skin, and the neutrals can sometimes pull a little bit gray. So in general, I tend to go ahead and pick something with that cool rosy undertone because it tends to give my skin a bit more life. So that is what I picked out, and I am going to be honest, I think I might need to pick up shade number 10. It will be a bit lighter. Sorry guys, my lighting is going a little bit crazy because it is a rainy / sunny day out today, so it's vacillating between being gray and gloomy, and then the sun just popped out. So I will be sure to zoom you in so you can see what this looks like on my skin. But back to the subject at hand, I think that I might want 10 for the winter months. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a swatch of number 12. And here is what it looks like just pumped out. And then you really do need to blend it out with your finger. So what I would say is that is one pump, and that is a lot of product. So I am going to shear it out even more so you can see the color on my hand here. So as I've sheared it out, you can see it's starting to kind of blend into my skin tone a bit more. Now I will tell you that the bottle is very cool. So it is in this sort of egg-shaped design here. It is a very nice frosted glass, and then here you can see it's got a little indent so that it will lay flat on your dressing table, or you can simply keep it in the little box. So I do have to say the design of the bottle is super cool. Now I also picked up the number 1 brush because when I was initially trying it out, I was using my fingertips, but I'm a sucker. I always like to buy the brush that goes along with foundations, and it also just looked so pretty. So here's what it looks like. It comes in its own little box, and then I'm going to pull this out, and it is a nice flat brush here. And it has a very nice handle, so it feels really good in your hands, and I like the idea of applying thin layers with the brush versus I felt like I was putting on a bit too much foundation just with my fingertips because that's what I'm used to, and I know that whenever I have actually gotten my makeup done from professional makeup artists, they tend to really take their time and then just lightly conceal where they feel like they need it and will slowly build up to whatever desired effect we have decided upon. So that is what I'm going to do today. Now I have been playing around with this foundation, and today I'm going to show you how I prep my skin before applying. I do have to say I love wearing her Elevated Glow. This is her highlighting. I have a couple of these, and I will say I love to put that on the high points of my cheeks, a little on my forehead and such, and then apply the foundation. Then it's going to have that kind of glowy look that I love in foundations, but for today's purposes, I just want to show you how I use it on its own, but I do prep my skin with a facial oil before getting started because I have dry, mature skin. So I'm going to be using one of my new favorites. This is the Guerlain, the Youth Watery Oil, and I have a deluxe sample, but I did order some of this at the Sephora sale. So I'm just taking a few little drops, just basically whatever was in this little dropper. And just going to take this and I'm gently going to push it into the skin to prep my face. So adding a little bit of moisture. On my skin, I don't have anything. I did put on my eyeballs today, and I did put on a little concealer when I was doing my eyes. So besides that, you are seeing just my regular skin, and I'm just going to press this. So now I've just pressed that oil into my face, and again I have dry, mature skin. And after watching Lisa's video on the foundation, she really shared how versatile this product can be. So it can be for all skin types, and that you do need to prep your skin according to what you prefer. So if you like a little bit more of a glowy foundation, then you're going to want to prep your skin with maybe a few drops of your favorite face oil, or you could use her highlighter underneath the foundation as well to give you a little bit more of that glowy dewy look. And then if you are somebody who has more oily skin, you can prep your skin with a matte primer ahead of time. And again, this is self-setting, so you do not need to set it with powder. I love that fact because I'm not a big powder girl. So I think that was another thing that people are used to, adding powder and such, and maybe not used to this formula. So the key is a little goes a long way. You don't want to use too much of this. And the pump itself, one full pump, is like half of a regular pump with other foundations. So here is shade 12. As you can see, it is a smidge darker than my skin tone, but once I blended it out, it seemed to work pretty well. This is an intelligently formulated skin-friendly foundation that has customizable medium coverage that can be dialed up or down. It is self-setting. It blends effortlessly to smooth and unify skin with a noticeable soft focus effect. Formula contains a natural mesh-like ingredient which completely fuses with the skin after blending. The final finish is going to be neither dewy nor a flat matte, but something skin-like and in between. This is best applied sparingly in thin layers, starting by smoothing a small amount into the skin, and then you can build to your desired level of enhanced perfection. This can also be used for just concealing and correcting small areas of the face. This is fragrance, alcohol, and talc free, and it's suitable for sensitive skin. Okay, here I'm coming in. Here is what this foundation looks like. Okay, what I have found is that this truly is a self-setting foundation, and that it takes a minute or two for the magic to happen. This is really going to mesh in with your skin and look supernatural, very second skin-like. And again, you can adjust, build this up for more coverage, or you can dial it down for a very natural look. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to put on a little bit of blush, a little bit of highlighter and bronzer, finish off my face, and then I will go about my day and do a check-in for you to show you how this wears throughout the day. I thought I would go ahead and top off my gloss. I'm using the shade Petal in her gloss. I love her glosses. And then I pulled you in one more time so you can see the foundation again with a little blush, a little highlighter here. Okay, I am going to go back to work. I've got a couple Zoom meetings and I am going to try to get outside and take a walk. It looks like I have a little window here to beat the rain. So I am going to walk out in the elements and such, and then I will do a check-in later today to show you how this wears. Now, since I have already worn this and have been playing with this, I will say this is one of these foundations that I personally think looks a little bit better as it wears throughout the day, because I think that it really meshes with your skin and I get a very natural skin-like look. Now I will say it doesn't feel like anything on your face. It is not heavy and it does not feel drying, but again, I did use that face oil. When I first tried this foundation, I felt like I used too much. I thought it looked a little bit cakey, and again, I was not in the correct color. Now, as far as the shade, I do think I would love to see a shade down, maybe number 10 or 11. I would love to try that out, so I need to get one of the sample sets. I'm afraid it was sold out. Otherwise, I would show you swatches and stuff, but I only had the lighter colors, the 5, 6, 7, 8, and those were definitely too light for my light to medium skin tone. So I'm going to go about my day and then I will be back with a check-in and my final thoughts on this foundation. Okay guys, I have had this foundation on for 8 hours. Had a busy day. I did get outside, so I have been out in the elements. It was a little drizzly, and I'm going to bring you in close so you can see what it looks like after 8 hours of wear. I will admit I'm a bit tired, so eyes are looking a little peaked, so just focus on the skin. But here is what it looks like at the end of the day. One thing that I noticed is I'm just getting a teeny bit of pore action right through here. Not very big or anything like that, but I did not set this because it is self-setting, and I easily could just put a little powder right in this area here. And again, it doesn't look terrible. I was just in the car and honestly probably need to bring the camera out there because the car mirror has no because the car mirror really lets you know what your makeup looks like. That has natural lighting out there. I sometimes get out and I'm like, woo, what was I thinking? So I could see where I could use just a little bit of powder near this pore area. But again, I put no powder on at all because it's a self-setting foundation. And I did use a few drops of face oil as well because I have dry skin. So two things I could do is that I could make sure not to add any of that face oil in this little zone here, and I also could take a little bit of powder and just touch up right there and they would be gone. So that is one thing I wanted to point out. But other than that, what I found is when I first put on the color, I was like, oh, it's not quite right. But as it wore throughout the day, it really did seem to just kind of mesh with my skin and it works. Now, yes, am I intrigued? Do I want to buy shades 11 and 10 or get my hands on a sample set? Yes. So I will try to do that because I am not 100% sold on this shade, but I totally think it works. Like, I don't think that it's terrible or way off the mark. Okay, so final thoughts on this foundation, and again, I have been playing with this for a few different days, is that this really is a unique formula. I do really like it. I do feel like you do have to play with it a little bit more. It is meant to be used that way. This is a professional makeup artist creating a product that she would love in her own kit. She's looking for one foundation that she can use on multiple people's skin tones and types. And this is a customizable foundation. So I usually gravitate towards more hydrating, glowy foundations for my more dry, mature skin. So this was not a foundation that I could just slap on my face and get those results. Again, this is a unique product and had to figure out the best way to use this foundation to get the desired effect that I wanted. So I do love that you can do that with this foundation, but I could also see why some of you did reach out and say you were not sure, that it wasn't really wearing well on your skin, and I experienced that as well. So one thing when she first launched this, I was like, ooh, I wonder if this is going to be similar to Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua, because she had originally gotten me onto using that. I had watched her do several tutorials of her using that foundation. It was very thin in texture and a little went a long way. And I do have to say that the texture of this foundation is a little bit thicker, and that you really do need to just paint it on the skin with a light hand. So less is more. I found that if I used too much foundation, it did start to look a little bit dry and cakey on my face, but when I used a little bit less and just really painted it in the areas that I needed it, I was starting to get that desired look that I like, where it blurred out my imperfections, but it also let my skin shine through. So that is what I would say, is that this is a foundation that is truly how she described it. It is just not what we are used to normally buying, something that directly is like a glowy foundation or a matte foundation. This is one that you are going to have to be creative, kind of put on your own makeup artist hat, and definitely play around with it a bit. So my final thoughts are that yes, I actually do like this foundation. I do want to buy it in a shade lighter just to see how that looks. I do think this works. I'm just not completely sold on it. And as many of you know, I overthink my shade selections. So as usual, I want to hear from you guys. Did you pick up the Lisa Eldridge foundation? What shade did you pick out, and what are your thoughts so far? And I know a few of my skin twins, where we mostly match on foundation, have reached out to me. Several of you also picked out shade 12, and you are not sure as well. So you guys let me know if you think this shade is spot on, or if you think I should buy shade 10, or whatever shade you think I might need. Let me know. Always love to hear from you. But so far, I am glad I picked this up. I will continue to play with this and keep you updated on my thoughts. I also have something very exciting that I will be doing a bit of an unboxing. I have an early Christmas gift showing up, and yes, it may be from her jewelry line. So that is supposed to show up any day, and I'm so excited. So I will share that with you as well. I have been obsessed with her rings for a very long time, so a very exciting surprise is coming. Okay guys, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back with another video soon.